Now that I'm old enough to vote, I've become more aware of the issues that drive politics in our country, especially since I will vote for who I want to be the next president in the upcoming election. Even our country, which strives to be the example of democracy for the rest of the world, still has some problems that need to be fixed. So I found myself thinking, does my vote actually matter? Could there be a way that voters in America are being disenfranchised? I found out the answer to that question when my government teacher talked about superdelegates. Since they've played an important role in the 2016 presidential election, I figured that I should find out more. I had some idea about what superdelegates were, but I still had some questions. So I did some research to learn more about the issue. I found out that superdelegates vote on the nomination for the presidential candidate for their party. Superdelegates are only in the Democratic Party, and they are not elected by voters in primaries. They are unpledged, meaning that they can choose any candidate they want to run for president. After learning this, I began to think, isn't it pretty unlike a democracy to have superdelegates? Especially since superdelegates make up 15% of the total delegate count in the Democratic Party, which means they have a large say in who gets nominated to run for president. I thought, why should unelected officials have such a large say in who becomes president? I knew I couldn't be the only one who was thinking this, so I decided to ask some of my friends.
I think super delegates are very unfair to be a big part of the election because a lot of them will favor one candidate and make each state's delegates not proportional, even if the people's choice is a different thing.
Okay, so I think superdelegates, it makes sense that we want there to be a buffer for the people so that way, a charismatic leader can't, go to power and retain that power. But superdelegates should have some sort of, tie to the people, they get voted for by members of the Democratic Party since they only exist in Democratic parties.
I believe that superdelegates are somewhat undemocratic because there's no check and balance towards them, but I also believe they're a good idea to have a buffer between the people and the direct head of government.
So, does this mean that my vote or your vote is not as important? Of course not. In a democracy like ours, every person's vote matters. Superdelegates have never been the deciding factor of a nominee against the vote of the people, so it is safe to say that your vote is meaning and it will not go to waste.